Ethan Reed's apartment felt perpetually on the verge of collapsing, much like his aspirations. The scent of stale pizza and ambition clung to the thin air, a testament to his life as a struggling actor. He had just returned from a fruitless audition, the familiar weight of rejection settling in his chest, when he found him. A stranger, pale and glistening with sweat, lay sprawled across his threadbare sofa. Ethan, initially, thought the man was a particularly dedicated method actor, perhaps a drunk who had wandered in from the noisy street below. He muttered a weary observation about the lack of valuables in his humble dwelling, suggesting the intruder might as well leave after a quick look. The man, however, didn't move. He simply slumped further, his body unnervingly hot to the touch when Ethan cautiously felt his forehead. A sigh escaped Ethan. Everyone had it tough. He told the man to rest until his fever broke, then be on his way. A strange, cloying sweetness, like an entire vineyard had fermented in his living room, permeated the air, making Ethan wrinkle his nose. He mumbled about the poor judgment of drinking while sick, especially if it resulted in such an overwhelming aroma. Noah Vance, as Ethan would soon discover, only pressed closer, an odd seeking motion against Ethan's leg. Ethan, flustered and irritated, hoisted the man onto the bed, complaining about his drunken advances. He retrieved a few generic pain relievers from his meager medicine cabinet and practically force-fed them to the unresponsive stranger. The pills had no discernible effect. Noah simply continued to nuzzle, an insistent warmth, against Ethan's thigh. Flushing deeply, Ethan retreated to the doorway, leaning against the creaking frame and stating that he was off to his evening shift. He instructed Noah to leave once his fever subsided. The entire day passed with no sign of Noah's departure, his fever evidently clinging stubbornly. When Ethan finally returned home, a fast food bag clutched in his hand, his eyes landed on his bed, a chaotic mess. The sheets were damp, a telltale sign of an accident. The burger dropped from his fingers. He couldn't quite believe someone, an adult, had soiled his bed. Noah, still disoriented, mumbled a protest, insisting it wasn't an accident but an involuntary expulsion of fluids. Ethan, a decent person despite his exasperation, still took Noah's temperature and offered a generic fever reducer. He chastised the man for continuing to drink, citing his own father's struggle with alcohol as a cautionary tale. Noah, in a blurry haze, leaned in for a kiss. Ethan gently pushed his head away, reminding him that he wasn't interested, being straight. After administering the medication, Ethan nudged Noah toward the small dining table for a bite to eat before hurrying to strip the damp sheets. He scrubbed them by hand in the tiny bathroom, hanging them to drip dry before heading out for his night shift, again reminding Noah about no more drinking or bedwetting. Noah, oblivious to the simply burrowed into the not yet changed sheets, the strange, sweet wine-like scent of his own body lingering, now without the faint, comforting lemon of Ethan's presence. He drifted into restless, unfulfilled slumber. Hours later, the apartment owner returned, collapsing onto the edge of the bed in exhaustion. Noah instinctively curled into him, a silent, needy presence, but Ethan was too deeply asleep to notice. This pattern continued for 2 more days. On the 3rd morning, Ethan found himself washing the sheets for the 3rd time, a weary frustration bubbling over. He mumbled about the potent, diuretic qualities of whatever the man had consumed. Noah's fever had finally broken, but the small, poorly ventilated apartment remained saturated with that sickly sweet, wine-like aroma. Noah sat up, realizing Ethan had changed him into a dry, albeit oversized, t-shirt. The loose collar revealed the irritated, reddish marks on his chest. Ethan, noticing Noah's questioning gaze, abruptly left the room for 10 minutes. He returned, tossing a blister pack of allergy medicine onto the bed, explaining that Noah seemed to be having an allergic reaction. Ethan, it seemed, was completely clueless about the true nature of Noah's condition. Noah, skipping the pills, asked where he was. Ethan sighed, attributing the question to a lingering hangover, and provided his address, 18 Old Mill Lane. He urged Noah to go home, remarking on Noah's delicate appearance, and suggesting he shouldn't endure hardship in Ethan's sparse abode. Ethan then left for another odd job. Noah followed him, observing the bustling American streets, the crisp air a stark contrast to his own world. He finally accepted his displacement, a stranger without identity or belonging. He looked up at Ethan, a towering figure behind the bar, his smile effortlessly charming customers. The name Ethan Reed was emblazoned on his name tag. Noah decided he would stay. Ethan was a struggling local performer, often cast as a stunt double or a background extra after his agent sidelined him for refusing to compromise his integrity. His earnings from various gigs barely covered his father's mounting medical bills. Despite his relentless schedule, Ethan, upon hearing Noah had no memory and no home, offered to let him stay. He assumed Noah had amnesia, even taking him to the local precinct, a futile attempt to locate a family that didn't exist. Securing identification for Noah proved complicated, a hurdle Ethan, with his limited influence, couldn't overcome. He brought Noah home, explaining with a troubled expression that supporting another person would be difficult. Noah, however, had no intention of being a burden. He knew Ethan's story: a mother lost young, a father fallen into a coma after a drunken accident, and Ethan working tirelessly to save his only remaining family. Ethan was handsome but lacked the connections and guile to navigate the cutthroat entertainment industry. Noah believed he could help, possessing an undeniable charisma and talent that transcended worlds. He told Ethan he could help him achieve anything he desired. Ethan laughed, a bitter sound, dismissing the idea since Noah was an unregistered alien, even more disadvantaged than himself. Noah merely smiled, saying nothing. Noah, though 5 years Ethan's senior, had been a revered star in his own world, a triple threat in film, television, and music. His arrival in this new reality, after a setup involving drugged wine and a premature flux that forced him to incapacitate an aggressor, had stripped him of everything. He had searched Ethan's humble apartment for any portal back to his dimension, trying every possible position and direction, but found nothing. He eventually gave up, relieved that this world lacked the suppressive social hierarchy he knew. Here, his unique flux condition, though challenging, wouldn't label him an outcast. Most people couldn't even perceive his unique scent. Aside from the monthly flare-ups, this world seemed almost perfect. Noah suggested Ethan take him to his talent agency. Ethan hesitated, admitting Noah certainly had star potential, but couldn't be signed without proper documentation. Noah wasn't concerned, believing that such issues were minor in the face of opportunity. He asked Ethan if he valued fame or fortune more. Ethan scratched his head, admitting honestly that he desperately needed money. Noah nodded, borrowing Ethan's phone to research Velocity Entertainment, the biggest agency in the city. 34, while Velocity had no shortage of attractive faces like Ethan's, they lacked someone like Noah. His appearance was subtly different from anyone in this world, an unplaceable, captivating quality. The moment they arrived at the agency, heads turned. Before they even entered, an agent approached them, curious as to which management they belonged to. Noah, smiling subtly, said they were new signings. The agent, a top-tier recruiter for Velocity, immediately warmed to them, offering to represent Noah, praising his idol-like qualities. Noah, however, insisted on meeting the CEO first. The agent paused, studying Noah with a calculating gaze, before leading them up to the 18th floor. The executive level was hushed, its understated luxury a stark contrast to the lively reception area. The agent knocked 3 times on the CEO's door. A young voice invited them in. Inside, Mr. Harrison, the young CEO, listened to the brief introduction before his gaze settled intently on Noah, assessing him from head to toe. He waved the agent out of the room. Half an hour later, Noah and a bewildered Ethan emerged. All the way home, Ethan kept saying Noah was crazy. Noah had signed a high-stakes deal with Mr. Harrison, promising to earn the company $400 million within 2 years for exclusive resources. If he won, it was a mutual triumph. If he lost, he would work for the company for free indefinitely. Noah had added another condition. Ethan would be his manager. Mr. Harrison, likely never having encountered such audacity, smiled faintly and instructed his assistant to draft the agreement, adding his own clause. If Noah lost, he would become Mr. Harrison's paramour until he tired of him. Mr. Harrison was clearly taken with Noah's appearance. Ethan immediately tried to drag Noah away, but Noah paused at the doorway, accepting Mr. Harrison's terms. He casually mentioned his undocumented status, requesting Mr. Harrison's assistance in resolving his identity. Mr. Harrison, resting his chin on his hand, simply nodded, granting Noah a few extra days to consider, clearly intending to investigate Noah's background. Noah, in turn, needed time to strategize with Ethan. Over the next 2 weeks, Noah was thoroughly investigated. During this period, he finally persuaded Ethan to abandon his poorly compensated side jobs, securing a new management agreement with him. Ethan, plagued by self-doubt, worried that if they failed, Noah's life would be ruined. His hair, slightly long, obscured his handsome features as he hung his head. Noah playfully tousled his hair, explaining that one couldn't know the outcome without taking a risk. Ethan struggled to grasp the necessity of such immense risk. Noah chuckled softly, explaining that high risks often yielded high rewards. He told Ethan that his first step was to trust him and offer his full support, which would be simpler than his current grueling work. They were, essentially, strangers, yet Ethan felt a profound sense of responsibility for Noah, unwilling to let him take such a gamble. His selfless concern was disarmingly tender. Noah rarely encountered such individuals, those who, despite their own struggles, worried about others. Such people were often easily exploited. Noah then appealed to Ethan's ambitions, asking him if he didn't want to earn a better living or see his father awaken. Ethan murmured the last part unspoken. Noah reached out, his fingers tracing Ethan's slender jawline, whispering intimately that he would undertake whatever Ethan wouldn't, and all Ethan had to do was follow his lead and be his unwavering support. Ethan's earlobes flushed crimson, and he recoiled, his eyelids fluttering, unable to meet Noah's gaze. The casual accusations about Noah wetting the bed from days ago seemed a distant memory. Noah secretly smiled, finding Ethan endearing and so easy to manipulate. 2 weeks later, Noah received his official identification. Mr. Harrison's assistant summoned him to the company to finalize the agreement. Ethan, having diligently studied acting management, accompanied him. Noah brought with him songs and lyrics he had composed, along with recorded vocal demos from his original world, placing them on Mr. Harrison's desk as a gesture of goodwill. He explained that these were his most successful works from another dimension, so it wasn't cheating. Mr. Harrison, even if he couldn't read music, could understand the lyrics and appreciate the singing. He immediately played a snippet of the audio, then raised an eyebrow, instructing his assistant to summon the company's vocal coach. Mr. Harrison remarked that Noah had been initially pegged as merely a pretty face, noting that his appearance was more than sufficient to make money as an idol. He then admitted he had underestimated Noah, feeling he might be underpaying for a mere $400 million. Despite this, he signed the contract without hesitation, also producing 2 additional contracts. One for Ethan, a manager's employment agreement, and an S-tier exclusive artist contract for Noah, granting him priority access to all company resources. He challenged Noah not to hold back, eager to see the extent of his talent. The vocal coach whisked Noah away, leaving Ethan, dazed by the rapid pace, trailing behind him like an automaton. His usual sharp wit seemed dulled by the whirlwind. Mr. Harrison walked alongside Noah, heading to the recording studio to personally assess Noah's performance. He glanced between Noah and Ethan, a suggestive smile playing on his lips, offering to assign a top-tier manager to Noah's boyfriend. Ethan immediately and vehemently denied any such relationship, waving his hands in protest. Mr. Harrison simply nodded thoughtfully. Noah shot a glance at Mr. Harrison, recognizing the cunning in his teasing. He decided he would train Ethan himself. Noah reflected on his own past, entering the entertainment industry before he was 18. His unique flux episodes, which could be disruptive, had led to initial skepticism, forcing him to fight for every opportunity. He had carried multiple emergency suppressants then, enduring a decade of struggle to prove his worth. Managing an agent seemed trivial in comparison. Yet, a risk remained. This world offered no equivalent to his suppressants. He couldn't simply endure the monthly flux without interruption. It would impede his work. He needed someone to guard him, to help him through. Ethan, having witnessed Noah's vulnerability during a flare-up and possessing a calming, subtle aroma, was the most suitable candidate. Noah spent the afternoon in the recording studio, laying down 3 tracks. Outside, a growing crowd of curious employees watched him with expressions of awe. Ethan, the most effusive, practically sprinted to Noah's side, giving him a double thumbs up and exclaiming how incredibly talented Noah was and how beautiful his singing voice was. Mr. Harrison, surrounded by fawning employees congratulating him on his discovery, watched Noah with evident admiration. He suggested they all grab dinner. Ethan, however, forbade Noah from drinking, recalling Noah's unsettling behavior when intoxicated. Mr. Harrison, intrigued, asked for details. Ethan, blushing profusely, stammered, awkwardly serving Noah food, unwilling to reveal Noah's embarrassing bedwetting episodes. Noah, for his part, remained silent, amusedly allowing Mr. Harrison to draw his own, incorrect, conclusions about his and Ethan's relationship. Mr. Harrison, clearly misinterpreting the situation, suspected an illicit affair between Noah and Ethan, his eyes deepening with a knowing, mischievous glint. He remarked that Ethan seemed unable to keep secrets and suggested he needed some training. Noah merely smiled, agreeing that he would indeed train Ethan thoroughly. Ethan, oblivious, coolly raised his glass of soda, praising Noah's intelligence and the many things Noah had taught him. His eyes shone with a new admiration, completely devoid of his earlier irritation toward Noah's perceived drunkenness. Noah, accepting the compliment, seriously nodded, suggesting Ethan should drink more as a sign of his sincerity. Mr. Harrison watched Noah get Ethan completely drunk, his gaze flickering. He asked Noah if he preferred men, remarking that Ethan appeared to be straight. Noah remained silent. After years in his own world's entertainment scene, he could easily discern true orientations. Mr. Harrison, he suspected, might be bisexual, his gaydar inaccurate. The company created a musician profile for Noah and a personal social media account, listing a sparse biography and a few casually shot photos. That night, various short video platforms began promoting snippets of Noah's recorded songs. Overnight, his music account gained hundreds of thousands of followers, his social media numbers climbing rapidly. His songs had exploded. But such immediate, explosive popularity inevitably drew suspicion. Comments flooded in, questioning if he was just another manufactured star, asking where he bought his songs, or suggesting he stick to being an idol given his looks. 5 Ethan, under his online alias Noah's guard dog, furiously typed replies, defending Noah's originality and talent. He boasted that he had personally witnessed Noah compose the music and lyrics, and heard him record the songs. He declared that Noah didn't need instructions from others, and that Noah was brilliant no matter what he did. 6789 Noah watched Ethan's fingers fly across the keyboard, laughing uncontrollably. Ethan abruptly stopped, leaping up as if pricked, apologizing profusely and asking if his outburst had damaged Noah's image. Noah, tears of laughter in his eyes, shook his head. He told Ethan to be himself, saying he wasn't afraid of a damaged image. He believed that truly capable individuals were unfazed by external opinions. Besides, he understood Ethan's character. Impulsive yet kind, a pure soul incapable of deliberately offending anyone. Ethan's passionate online defense only fueled his own burgeoning online fame, with users affectionately dubbing him Noah's guard dog, fiercely attacking any negative comment, occasionally even misinterpreting positive ones. To Mr. Harrison called Noah, his voice quiet, observing their unusual dynamic and predicting an explosive chemistry. His actual reason for calling was about the numerous record labels now seeking collaborations. He asked Noah to come to the office to review potential tracks. Noah felt a prick of annoyance at Mr. Harrison's tendency to bypass Ethan, a slight to his manager, but as an employee, he couldn't directly challenge the CEO. He took Ethan to the office, subtly suggesting that future work inquiries be directed to his manager. Mr. Harrison, casually perched with one leg crossed, regarded Noah with a knowing, almost mocking expression, remarking that many would kill for his direct contact. Yet Noah complained. Noah fell silent, listening to the proposed songs. He rejected them all, expressing his desire to pursue acting. As for music, he preferred to work independently, promising consistent, high-quality output. He explained that during his decade in his own world's entertainment industry, he had released 30 songs, 3 annually, a steadfast commitment. Music had sustained him before his acting breakthrough. Now he wanted to inhabit diverse characters, to explore 1,000 different lives, a stark contrast to the confining nature of his old existence. Mr. Harrison proved to be an excellent boss, immediately ordering piles of scripts for Noah to review. He encouraged Noah to take his time, assuring him that while he wouldn't simply hand him a role, he would guarantee auditions, with success depending entirely on Noah's talent. By the time Noah selected a few scripts, over 3 weeks had passed since his arrival in this world. A familiar warmth began to spread through his body, a subtle ache indicating another flux was imminent. He had anticipated this, knowing his previous resistance would likely trigger an earlier onset. To ensure a smooth flare-up and focus on his upcoming work, he entrusted his song royalties to Ethan, asking him to manage his father's care and stay home to review scripts and rehearse lines with him. The company had arranged a new, private apartment for them, complete with a larger bed. Noah felt confident this time. He was determined to win Ethan over. The next day, Noah's unique scent intensified, uncontrolled. Ethan, sniffing the air, began searching for Noah's stashed alcohol, his brow furrowed in concern. He mumbled about how he'd forbidden Noah from drinking, him that a beer belly would deter any potential suitors. Noah, despite his growing discomfort, found it amusing. A burning sensation flared at the back of his neck, his legs weakening. He couldn't reach Ethan, so he beckoned him closer, his breathing quickening. Ethan approached, pinching his nose, declaring the alcohol smell overwhelming and expressing his dislike for drunkards. Noah, irritated by the term, pulled Ethan's head down, silencing his protests with a kiss. Ethan froze, then violently pushed Noah away, wiping his mouth with a furious expression. He yelled at Noah for his drunken antics, declaring a permanent ban on alcohol in their home. Noah tumbled onto the sofa, disoriented by the intensifying heat. Though his mind reeled, he wouldn't coerce anyone. He asked Ethan one last time if he could possibly feel something for him, even just a little. He lowered his head, exposing the slightly swollen gland at the back of his neck, pleading for Ethan to bite him there. Ethan, utterly bewildered, dismissed it as more drunken rambling, muttering that he was a man and didn't like men, nor was he a dog to bite people's necks. He seemed genuinely repulsed. Yet, this flux was more intense than the last, an unbearable crawling sensation consuming Noah. He couldn't endure it alone. Even if he explicitly stated he was in flux and needed intimacy or would suffer terribly, Ethan, feeling his forehead, panicked, believing Noah's fever had spiked and he was delusional. Ethan reached behind Noah, intending to carry him to the hospital, only to discover the sofa cushion was soaked. He flushed a deep crimson, forcing out a choked accusation about Noah wetting the bed again. Noah closed his eyes, his weak hand pushing Ethan's arm away. He told Ethan not to bother if he wasn't going to help and demanded his phone to call someone else. Ethan paused, asking whom Noah intended to call. Noah, exasperated, explained it was to cool down. Ethan, still confused, then snatched the phone, his face hardening with anger. He insisted that he was Noah's manager and would take him to the hospital, dismissing the need to trouble anyone else. Noah narrowed his eyes, challenging Ethan to bite him then. Ethan, grumbling, bit Noah's hand forcefully, calling him a stupid drunk. Noah's body shuddered. He looked at the teeth marks on his hand, utterly frustrated. Biting his hand was useless. It needed to be his neck. Ethan, gritting his teeth, murmured to himself not to argue with a drunk, before biting into Noah's neck gland. A sharp, profound sensation washing over Noah, accompanied by a wave of inexplicable coolness and a hint of lemon. Then a choked sound escaped Noah's lips, tears streaming down his face as his body went limp, gasping on the sofa. Ethan stared, dumbfounded, asking if he'd bitten Noah's erogenous zone, wondering if Noah had consumed an aphrodisiac instead of alcohol. Ethan still insisted on taking Noah to the hospital. Noah closed his eyes, allowing Ethan to fuss over him. As Ethan carried him out the door, the heat subsided, his flush faded, and the wine-like scent receded. Noah told Ethan to put him down, that he was fine. Ethan, bewildered and questioning his own sanity, pinched his arm. He stared at the bite marks on Noah's neck and hand, sinking into a long, bewildered silence. He finally asked if Noah was some ancient creature or a mythical succubus. Noah wasn't in the mood for conversation. Ethan's refusal to truly engage meant the temporary relief wouldn't last. The flux would return. He couldn't force Ethan to bite him indefinitely. Rubbing his temples, Noah decided to be direct. He explained he was from another dimension, that he experienced a monthly flux lasting 3 days, requiring either a suppressant or intimacy to quickly subside. Otherwise, he'd be incapacitated, consumed by primal urges. He stressed that this world lacked his suppressants, leaving only one option. He looked at Ethan, waiting for understanding. Ethan stared back, then suddenly clapped his hands, realizing with a flash of insight. He declared that Noah was simply immersed in character, rehearsing a role, and that he understood crossover. He then asked what Omega was, wondering if it was a new acting term. Noah wanted to tear his hair out. Ethan's thick-headedness was infuriating. Without Ethan's full cooperation, his career would be in constant jeopardy. He couldn't allow that. He considered calling Mr. Harrison again, wondering if he had misjudged Ethan, or if straight in this world was simply more complex. He reached for his phone. Ethan, his expression instantly firm, snatched it away, demanding to know why Noah was contacting Mr. Harrison instead of him. Noah felt trapped in a maddening loop. He quipped that Ethan preferred to believe he was a mythical creature rather than accept his explanation. He sighed, realizing arguing was pointless. He offered Ethan 2 choices. Either sleep with him or he would find someone else. Otherwise, he couldn't work or earn money. Ethan's eyes welled up, and he accused Noah of blackmail, claiming Noah had tricked him into becoming his manager only to exploit him. He hugged himself, weeping theatrically. Noah found him both adorable and infuriating. He raised an eyebrow, stepping closer, asking if Ethan would comply. Ethan's neck and ears turned a fiery red as he adamantly refused, insisting he was a respectable person. Noah, observing his flushed ears, decided to give him more time. He gently coaxed Ethan into biting him for 3 consecutive days and forcibly snuggled into Ethan's bed, successfully navigating the flux. Ethan grumbled as he cleaned the bed. Noah, ignoring him, shifted into work mode. His first chosen project was a period drama, a challenging role as a triple-identity villain who manipulated the protagonists. Success meant instant stardom. Failure could cripple his career. Noah, however, thrived on challenges. He went for the audition. Mr. Harrison accompanied them, while Ethan waited outside. After Noah's audition, the director pondered, hesitant due to Noah's unknown status. But the screenwriter immediately declared Noah the perfect actor, a genius. Mr. Harrison looked at Noah with deep intensity, noting that he didn't seem like a newcomer, his movements and emotional transitions too seasoned. Noah merely smiled, explaining his decade of struggle in his former world, where his talent was often dismissed as mere effort. Here, he was a genius, a thrill entirely new to him. Ethan, nervously biting his nails outside, exploded with excitement on social media upon hearing the good news. Followers asked about his frantic behavior. He cryptically replied that he wouldn't reveal anything, letting them guess. This only fueled wild speculation. Noah, deliberately, liked a comment that read, "The guard dog bit his owner." He watched his social media explode. Finally, the cast and production schedule for the series were announced, accompanied by promotional character posters. Noah's 9 posters depicted 3 distinct personas: a serene, noble gentleman, a cold, mocking antagonist, and 3 striking composite images, half man, half woman, creating an intensely disorienting effect. 5 public enthusiasm surged. Comments poured in, praising Noah's versatility, while Ethan, acting more like a fervent fan than a manager, relentlessly attacked any negative remarks. He proudly proclaimed Noah's multifaceted talent, telling detractors to be quiet if they couldn't say anything nice. He affirmed that Noah had always sung beautifully, and that his art didn't need their approval. 6789 Noah, from the set, deliberately liked every single one of Ethan's fiery responses. The internet, amused and exasperated, declared them dog and master. Even Mr. Harrison advised Noah to moderate their online displays. Only Ethan remained earnest, busy with undisclosed tasks. Noah would often flirt with him during breaks, but Ethan, seemingly blind, mistook it for exhaustion, pulling Noah aside to gaze at distant landscapes. In this chaotic world, Noah found himself entangled in a silent, fervent romance, his heart and body aflame. Months passed, the series wrapped, and the bite marks on Noah's neck multiplied. Yet Ethan still refused to share his bed. The series premiered to massive success, coinciding with Noah's 6th Flux episode since arriving in this world. He decided, for the 12th time, to find someone else. Ethan's stubbornness was infuriating. Not only did the idiot guard dog refuse to sleep with him, but he also forbade Noah from seeking others, insisting Noah was drunk and would regret it. He confined Noah to the apartment, forcing Noah to tearfully beg for a bite before he would grudgingly oblige. Noah's pent-up frustration finally erupted once he was clear-headed. His unique scent faded, his fever gone, his skin no longer irritated. He lay in Ethan's bed, inhaling the faint, calming lemon scent, and coldly informed Ethan that he was going out to find another man. Ethan, in the bathroom, continued his bizarre ritual of hand-washing the sheets, despite their new apartment having a modern washer and dryer. He insisted that using machines felt odd for bedwetting incidents, but scrubbing them by hand did not. Noah thought he was intentionally suffering. Perhaps they were fundamentally incompatible, or Noah was simply too free-spirited for Ethan's rigid morality. He decided to give up on him. So, he repeated loudly that he was going to find another man to sleep with. The scrubbing ceased. Seconds later, Ethan burst out, a pained expression on his face, asking why and Noah about potential scandals. Noah stared him down, his eyes blazing with indignation, replying that it was because Ethan wouldn't sleep with him. Ethan's fingers curled, and he lowered his head, muttering something almost inaudible. Noah prompted him to speak up. Ethan looked up, his eyes red-rimmed, asking if Noah intended to sleep with Mr. Harrison, pointing out that Mr. Harrison was richer and more handsome, and could provide Noah with better opportunities. Ethan called himself useless, poor, and foolish, claiming he could do nothing for Noah except wash his sheets, and that his desires would only tarnish Noah's reputation. He worried about being the reason Noah failed. Ethan liked Noah, yet he couldn't bring himself to sleep with him. He seemed oblivious to Noah's desperate longing during each Flux episode, lost in his own insecurities. Noah, tired of their exhausting dynamic, scoffed. He declared that Ethan was right about everything, and that from now on, Ethan shouldn't bother biting him. He would find Mr. Harrison to do it. Noah emphasized his clear mind, insisting he hadn't consumed any alcohol, and that Ethan had no right to stop him. He brushed past Ethan, deliberately bumping his shoulder. Ethan stood motionless, his hands clenched silently at his sides. Noah called Mr. Harrison, inviting him for drinks and venting about Ethan's inexplicable behavior. Mr. Harrison's face darkened, accusing Noah of using him. Noah confidently asserted his right to do so, reminding Mr. Harrison of the significant profits he had generated for the company. After the series' massive success, Mr. Harrison was a perpetually smiling figure, often boasting about his rival company's lack of emerging talent. He grinned widely whenever he saw Noah. Unable to refute Noah's point, Mr. Harrison glumly drank, then asked if Noah truly wouldn't sleep with him, assuring him of his good health and ethical conduct. Noah eyed him critically, finding him pleasant but lacking in charm, wit, or kindness. Mr. Harrison drained his glass, a wry smile on his face, suggesting Noah might as well just list Ethan's social security number. Noah, with a perfectly straight face, recited it. Mr. Harrison covered his face, gritting his teeth, stating he had provoked no one. Noah giggled, pulling down his collar to proudly display the bite marks on his neck, announcing that Ethan had marked him. Mr. Harrison peered at Noah's neck, confused. Noah then started to wail, claiming Ethan was a philanderer who had marked him but wouldn't claim him. Before Mr. Harrison could fully investigate the faint bite marks on Noah's neck, a familiar, slightly sour lemon-scented embrace enveloped Noah. Ethan, breathing heavily, glared protectively at his boss, Mr. Harrison, that workplace harassment was a serious offense, noting the curious onlookers in the dim bar. Noah felt a pang of multifaceted sorrow. He pushed Ethan away, slightly tipsy, and headed to the stage. As the spotlight hit his face, most people recognized him. He borrowed a guitar and, eyes downcast, played a new song, one he had never performed before. He sang of summer nights, of abandoning his own world, of unfamiliar air and flickering lights, of reason slowly melting. He sang of a thief who stole a poor man's precious blood, of his burning desire and the man's repeated retreats, of his tears and the man's desperate efforts, of the marks the man left behind. He sang of yearning for passion, for fusion, only for the man to withdraw, freezing his heart. He wondered if another transit would grant him true intimacy. As he sang, his tears mingled with the drink, dripping onto the guitar. An Omega's flaw, this gnawing anxiety. The one he craved was so near, yet so unattainable. The intense yearning threatened to unravel his composure, making him want to explode and hide simultaneously. He knew Ethan was younger, that he should be patient, but the heartache was overwhelming. Even music couldn't soothe it. If this impasse continued, he wished to return to his solitary world. The bar fell silent, then erupted in thunderous applause and shouts for an encore. He couldn't hear them. Someone pulled a jacket over his head and led him into a dark alley, their lips pressing against his, stealing his breath. He tasted a familiar flavor, salty tears mixing with his own. He pushed Ethan away, irritated, reminding him he was drunk and not thinking clearly. Ethan held him tighter, his large frame bowed, his head buried in Noah's neck, emanating a suffocating warmth. Ethan confessed he had feared Noah was slipping away, feeling Noah becoming distant even as he stood right there. Noah scoffed, reminding Ethan he truly didn't belong to this world. Ethan remained silent for a long moment, finally seeming to believe him. He asked if Noah would leave him. He asked if Noah could truly be passionate with him. Noah affirmed. Ethan asked where they would go. Noah simply said, home. For a real love. That night, Ethan questioned Noah countless times, his expression shifting from disbelief to stunned silence. He finally declared that it hadn't been bedwetting after all. He confessed he hadn't attended college and asked Noah to explain the science. Noah, irritated, figuratively stomped on Ethan's face, asking how he could demand science from a transdimensional traveler. Noah admitted he hadn't gone to college either. Ethan then gripped Noah's ankle, licking it, his eyes glazed over, murmuring that Noah's scent was intoxicating him. Noah realized he wasn't even in a flux state and hadn't released any scent. Ethan was simply overwhelmed. The next morning, Mr. Harrison, showing clear signs of sleeplessness, summoned Noah for a personal vendetta, dragging him to the recording studio to record the complete song for a new album. Mr. Harrison stated that he allowed Noah his passion, even kissing men under flashing lights, but Noah had no idea how many extra hours the PR department had worked to clean up the mess. Noah felt a pang of guilt, remembering the flashing cameras and the crowd that had followed them. He asked if his fans had reacted negatively. Mr. Harrison rubbed his temples, confirming they had. Noah's heart sank, and he reached for his phone to check social media. He saw a deluge of celebratory posts. Mr. Harrison then smiled, saying they were collectively celebrating, believing their suspicions about Noah and Ethan were confirmed. Many were demanding the full version of his song, crying out for it. Noah pursed his lips, looking at Mr. Harrison expectantly. He cleared his throat, admitting his voice was hoarse. Mr. Harrison kicked the recording studio door, pointed a finger at Noah, then walked away, unable to think of a suitable punishment. A week later, Noah released his new album, Transitory Love, containing only that one song. Ethan made it his ringtone and alarm, to Noah's increasing annoyance. When Noah asked him to change it, Ethan's eyes reddened, and he asked if Noah no longer loved him. Who would love an alarm clock? 2 years passed. Noah starred in 5 television series and 4 films, releasing 6 singles. 3 of the series, 2 films, and all 6 singles were massive hits. By the 2-year deadline, he had earned the company $666 million. Mr. Harrison greeted Noah with a professional smile. After their contract ended, he asked Noah about his future plans. Noah paused, pulling Ethan closer, asking him the name of the agent who had previously tried to exploit him. Ethan's eyes lit up, and he quickly supplied the name. Noah then gestured to Mr. Harrison, instructing him to fire that agent, or else he'd be seen as a pimp. Noah added, with a slight smile, that they would soon be rivals, and he wouldn't hesitate to report him. Mr. Harrison, accustomed to Noah's antics, understood his decision. He extended his hand for a handshake, suggesting future collaborations. Ethan stepped in front of Noah, eagerly shaking Mr. Harrison's hand first, asserting himself as Noah's manager for all future collaborations. Mr. Harrison looked over Ethan's shoulder directly at Noah, telling him to keep his dog on a tighter leash. Noah smiled politely, telling Ethan to bite him. Ethan then pulled Noah away, insisting he wasn't a dog but Noah's manager. He then added, as if in afterthought, that he offered his devotion, not his art. He then took Noah to visit his father, tearfully recounting how Noah treated him like a dog, constantly demanding marks and telling him to bite people. Ethan cried for what felt like the 800th time. This time, his father's eyes fluttered open. He looked at Ethan, his hand trembling, speaking weakly, asking why Ethan was always crying and saying his tears would tear their home apart. Ethan froze, then embraced his father, weeping again. His father, too, shed tears. The sun shone brightly through the window, illuminating vibrant sunflowers outside. Noah looked at the scene, reflecting that this world, once so alien, was now a place where his spirit burned bright and his heart overflowed.